Hey everyone, welcome back to the series where I take you through the process of buying a house at auction and navigating the full refurb process. This is now video number 4, and today we're diving into something that you'll definitely come across if you're buying property at auction: the legal pack. When you buy the traditional way, you'll see these legal documents after you've made an offer. But auctions normally offer these for all properties beforehand, so you can make an informed purchase. Now, legal packs can be a bit intimidating, especially if you're not a solicitor, which, by the way, I'm not. These things are packed with legal jargon that can make you feel like you're reading another language. But don't worry, I'll try to break it down for you, show you how I navigate these documents. A quick disclaimer, of course, none of this is legal advice. I'm simply showing you what's typically in these packs and how I approach them. So keep a solicitor at hand to help you out with the more complicated bits. I'll show you an example from a past auction in a moment, but before I do, I want to point out that every auction house is different. Some legal packs will be more thorough than others. Sometimes you'll even find a property that doesn't have a complete legal pack. That's a big red flag, so make sure you do your due diligence and possibly avoid those properties. Alright, so let's talk about what we're going to find in a typical auction legal pack. Here are some key documents that are usually included: transfer, title register, title plan. These are the ones that mostly had me scratching my hair off, but they are essential. And I highly recommend getting a solicitor to take a look at these. They show who currently owns the property and the boundaries of the land, but they can also reveal some pretty important things, like if there are any covenants or restrictions on the land that could mess with your plans later. It's more complex than it sounds, and sometimes even a simple clause can change everything. I'll read an example easement, and you'll see what you think about it. The full right and liberty for the council and their lessees and tenants at any time or times thereafter to build, rebuild, or alter, or permit or suffer to be built, rebuilt, or altered any buildings or erections upon any other property of the council according to such plans and to such height, extent, and otherwise, and in such manner as the council shall think fit. It's like, this is just almost nonsense to me, but I mean, you can make some sense from it if you read carefully, I guess. But yeah, that's why you gotta get a solicitor, because look at all these paragraphs and they're all just like that one. So next, what you'll find is the auction contract. This one is normally a bit easier to read, but can get quite complex as well. This is the one that tells you the exact terms of the sale, so make sure a solicitor reviews this one too. Honestly, this is where they hide the fine print, right? The extra costs, time frames, penalties, all the fun stuff. Let's have a look at this one. This first paragraph explains that the contract follows standard legal rules for selling property at auction. If there's any conflict between different sets of rules, this contract's special conditions come first. This is normal and helps clarify which rules to follow if there's confusion. The second paragraph says that the seller will transfer the property with either full or limited title guaranteed. as specified in the first page. So in this case, you can see the title guarantee is full. You can also see the completion date, 10th of October, which is 28 days from the auction date. The property is sold with any existing legal restrictions or rights, and the buyer can't question these. So those ones that you've seen in those title registers, basically. That's why it's important to read those. Make sure it's nothing too strange. This is normal, so it means the buyer should carefully check what they are. In paragraph 4, the property will be empty. That's fine. It's good because you won't have to deal with any existing tenants. 5, the buyer must pay a deposit to the seller's agent and prove their identity and ability to pay. It's standard practice as well. 6, if the buyer's deposit bounces or they don't pay the deposit quickly enough, the seller can cancel the sale and resell the property. So this protects the seller from time wasters and puts pressure on the buyer to have funds ready. 7, the full deposit, 10% deposit must be paid and cleared within 24 hours or the contract is void. So yeah, again, you will need to have those funds ready on auction day. The buyer, 8, the buyer must pay for any property searches that the seller has done. It's quite common, so it will add to the buyer's costs, which we'll get to in a second. 9, the buyer admits that they've inspected the property and are buying it as it is without relying on any promises or representations from the seller. So it's your responsibility to check the property, and you don't have pretty much any rights, I guess, if you discover something after you've won the property at auction. 10, if the buyer is late completing the purchase, they'll have to pay 300 plus VAT for a legal notice. This is normal as well. It encourages the buyer to complete on time. 11 and 13, these paragraphs deal with the property's legal title and registration. The buyer agrees to accept the title as it is, even if the seller's ownership is still being registered. So this could be a bit risky for the buyer if there are any issues with the title, but these are quite common as well. I've seen them in all the auction packs, pretty much in all the contracts. 14, 15, the buyer must pay fees for any name changes on the contract and for the seller's solicitors to draft the transfer document. So these are additional costs that you must consider. On 16, it just defines who the auctioneer is, which is in this case is Bond Wolf, and then we'll have more various fees for you to pay after the auction ending. So bear in mind these fees can add up quite a lot. Let me talk you through some of them. Well, let's talk about all of them. So administration fee, 1,800 plus VAT, that comes up to 2,160. Name change fee, 250 plus VAT, 300. Draft transfer fee, 100. Auctioneer fee, 1,194. Seller's expenses, so you'll pay 2,500. Seller's auction costs, that's another 2,160 minimum. So if the property costs over 180,000, then you'll pay more. You'll pay 1% of the property cost, practically. The listing fee, 395 plus VAT. Seller search fees, 250. Cost of notice to complete, that's only if you don't complete on time. So seller searches, it's basically that's 250. So in total it's 9,138 for the extra costs. So again, you'll have to pay these. This is in the contract, so they can put any fees in there and you'll have to pay those. That's why you make sure you read these before you bid, so that you can subtract from your bidding amount, Alright, let's go to the next one. And this, the environmental search. So this one is usually a bit easier to understand. It tells you about any environmental risks associated with the property. For example, is it in a flood zone? Is there contaminated land nearby? You don't want to buy a house only to find out later that you're in the middle of a swamp. So here's how you check these ones. Contaminated land, this one passed, so it's good. Flooding, overall risk is low. River and coastal flooding, very low. Surface water flooding, it's negligible. Groundwater flooding is moderate. So while the overall flood risk is low, there is a moderate risk of groundwater flooding, which could be an issue for properties with basements or underground sections, which in this case I don't believe this one has a basement. Ground stability, there's no significant concerns, which is good. Radon gas, it's not in an affected area, so that's good as well. Some energy features identified within 5 kilometers. So this isn't necessarily a problem, but potential buyers might want to know about nearby energy infrastructure. Transportation, some features identified, including the HS2 route. Not necessarily a problem, but potential buyers might be interested in nearby transportation developments. So planning, there are four total applications in the vicinity, so suggest some development activity in the area. This is neither good nor bad, but it's worth being aware of. And yeah, this search doesn't reveal any major flags. Next one we have is a regulated drainage and water search. This report shows where your water supply and drainage comes from, and more importantly, if you're connected to the public system. It's not too complicated, and it's worth checking that everything is in order. So the last thing you want is to find out you have to dig a well, right? So this one looks fine. You can check the map. So sewer map, it's fine. Then we have the local search, the regulated local search. You might also find things like local authority searches and planning information. These tell you what kind of restrictions or potential developments could affect the property or area. So in this one there is a smoke control order. It indicates restrictions on burning certain fuels in the area to reduce air pollution, and citywide Article 4 direction. This requires planning permission for converting family homes into HMOs. So yeah, these are quite normal. Again, I've seen these in all legal packs within Birmingham. Some other areas or cities might not have these rules, but it's nothing unusual. So planning and building regulations, no planning or building regulations have been granted or refused for this property, so that's fine. If the house had an extension built, for example, then you'd want to see if there's been a planning application and building regulations. More importantly, you'd want to see those. But since this house didn't have anything done, like extension, then this is perfectly fine. This one, Crompton Road is a public highway, so the local authority ensures access and maintenance, so no issues there. Other matters: property is not required for any public purposes, nor is it involved in any planned roadworks or drainage matters, so this is fine as well. Nearby railway schemes: while there are no immediate railway proposals affecting the property, HS2 is within the council's boundary, which could influence future accessibility and value. Again, doesn't look bad to me. Outstanding notices in planning acts, no, all good here. Community infrastructure levy, so this still exists, so it pretty much applies to all properties that I've seen in and around Birmingham. This only affects someone that wants to develop land, so if you want to build flats or something like that, then it might affect someone like that. So yeah, again, these search results are relatively straightforward, so there's no issues. Now we have one more report, in this case a coal mining report. This is quite important actually, because if there are issues with this one, then you could potentially you might not be able to mortgage the house later on once you've refurbished it. So in this case there is no coal mining report required, because it's not in a past mining area. But I will show you one property that is in a mining area, which again, a lot of properties are in mining areas. That's not an issue. For example, this is a different property from that same auction, which is in a mining area, and it's got this same CON 29M mining search, and it identified past underground coal mining, but overall past there are no, you can see in here, no shafts. So ideally you don't want any shafts or adits very close, within 25 meters of the boundary. So this one looks fine as well. And if your property is in a coal mining area, I'll show you how to find out if yours is. For example, this other house at the same auction had this ground stability identified. So if we look What that means is the property is indicated to lie within an area that could be affected by mining rather than coal and fill the land. So in this case, that property in the legal pack, it had a coal mining report. So we can look at that one and see what it says basically. But in this one, it shows there are some potential coal mining risks. If you want to pause and read the report, so especially here, past underground coal mining. This one is an important one. There are no recorded coal mine entries within 20 meters of the boundary of the property, so that's quite good. Overall, this report doesn't look too bad, to be fair. So this is again quite a standard report for property within the coal mining area. So unless there are mine entries within 20 meters of the property, or any of these, you can see pretty much all of them sound positive. If some of them don't sound positive, then you might want to avoid the property. So again, my strong recommendation is to hire a solicitor to go over the more complex parts, like the title register and the contract. It's not just about understanding what you're reading, it's also about making sure you're not missing anything that could come back to haunt you later. We've covered legal packs. I'm close to exchanging the contracts on my property that I've got from that same auction. It's none of these ones, it's a different one. So I think really the next video will be me showing you exactly how much it cost me to get the property and a full budget for the works. So stay tuned and see you in the next video.